A burning blaze or just a small smolder? Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and today we are going to be going over the pros and the cons of Dragon Man. So thanks to the CCP, I had early access to Dragon Man, so I got to play around with him a bit. So thanks, kabam. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of his pros first, and then we'll take a look at some of his cons. So the first pro that we have is this power gain that he has through the power charge buff. So the power charge buff grants Dragon Man 12% of a bar of power every second. This makes him great against nodes like Encroaching Stun and Plague Mine because you can get power pretty quickly. Now with this, you also really don't need to run Mystic Dispersion, because if you do run Mystic Dispersion, you could find yourself at a special 3 really quickly when in all actuality you want to launch a special 2. Okay, so another really cool thing that Dragon Man has is these unblockable attacks. So this happens on opponent knockdown, so it happens with a heavy or a special attack. So Dragon Man goes unblockable when the opponent is knocked down, and he goes unblockable for 3 seconds. So that's actually a really good amount of time in order to get some hits in while the opponent is blocking, especially if you have them cornered, which is a kind of a neat mechanic that Dragon Man has that we'll talk in a little bit about. Dragon Man can also go unstoppable after his special 3. So you want to get to that special 3 pretty quickly, because also after his special 3, he gains 3 stacks of power charge and then unstoppable. And while he is unstoppable, he can regen, 85% of his health lost, or damage received rather, except for special 3s, allowing you to go ham once the special 3 ends. So when the special 3 ends, you're unstoppable and you can regenerate 85% of damage received. So get them in the corner and kind of just go at it. So having the 3 stacks of power charge after the special 3 is important when it comes to the special 2, because the special 2, not only does it place 3 incinerate debuffs on the opponent for 25 seconds, which decreases their block proficiency by 50% and prevents perfect block, it also converts 1 power charge into a fury buff. So you're gonna have that power gain. You have 3 power stacks after your special 3. You launch your special 2, you convert that one of those into a fury, allows you to go ham. Then you're back up to a special 2 again. So launch that special 2 again, you get another fury. So you can stack those furies. So this is really good. Now, because Dragon Man is poison immune, having those furies makes him a good counter to nodes like Caustic Temper, right? Because for Caustic Temper, you need to have someone who's poison immune and someone who can gain a fury. So this makes Dragon Man a good counter to one of those, to that node. Now I want to talk about something else that I really like this debuff that you can place on opponents. It's the slow debuff. There are several champs out there who can do that now. Now he inflicts a slow debuff after his special 1 for 8 seconds, and it's on the final hit of the special 1. So it's going to prevent evade and unstoppable effects on opponents against every class, with the exception of science, because, well, class advantage, right? But this is going to make him good for, you know, pesky champions like Korgs, that sort of thing, Juggernaut. So I love champs that have the slow debuff. I'm glad we're seeing more and more champs coming out with the slow debuff, because it is a really useful really useful mechanic to have in the game. Now I want to talk about his immunities. Now he is bleed and poison immune, making him a suicide friendly champ, since you'll really, in all actuality, you'll need to throw 1 special 3 and maybe 1 or 2 special 2s to take the opponent down. The armor shatter immunity is pretty nice too, but the armor break here is what is really interesting, because if he is armor broken, he places a passive degen on the opponent anytime he is armor broken. So this was of course the uncollected Dragon Man, who could be kind of a pain if you were to armor break him. But I kind of think this is a cool little mechanic, and it's interesting to see it in the game. Kind of a nice counter to champions like Medusa, Vision, Arcus, and that sort of thing. Speaking of champs who gain power and the like, Dragon Man's signature ability is this tactical programming. So basically, Dragon Man's signature ability has these unique effects wherever any debuff by a non-science champion is activated. He kind of has these different effects. So basically, if there's regen, he reduces the opponent's regen rate by 35%. Power gain, same thing. If there's a fury, he gains armor. If there's an armor up, he gains attack. If there's precision or cruelty, he gains crit resistance and crit damage resistance. So Since Dragon Man doesn't actually nullify or stagger opponents like most Mystic champs do, this is kind of a way around it, and it's a pretty interesting little thing. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about the pros of Dragon Man, let's talk about the cons. And since I just talked about the pro being his signature ability, let's talk about that as well, because as a con, he does need the awakening in order to have the benefits that go along with it. It's kind of similar to maybe Captain America Infinity War's leadership abilities, sort of, not quite up at that level, but he does need the awakening and he does need the sig levels to go along with it in order to get the benefits around it. You can get some of these benefits with the ineptitude buff that he places on the opponent, but in all actuality, if you want to get all of the utility that comes around with Dragon Man, you're going to want to have him awaken, and you're going to want to have him at a high sig level as well. Now, another con is kind of this cornered ability. Now, this cornered ability, it's a unique function, so when Dragon Man has the opponent cornered, he deals an extra amount of physical damage, which is increased by per ineptitude buff or unique buff on the opponent, and it decreases the opponent's defensive combat rate by 70% while above 2 bars of power. So it's a little bit of a form of power control. The only problem with this is you have to play aggressively in order to get the opponents not backed into the corner. So, and while the unblockable and the unstoppable can come into effect, it can be kind of a detriment too. If you have your opponent ready to throw a special, you're unblockable, you have them cornered, and you kind of just want to go ham, but they launch a special in your face. So you kind of want to keep that in mind as you're going along with it. Another thing that I think Dragon Man falls short on is, unlike a lot of the other Mystics in the Mystic class, he has no nullify or stagger, and so he can't actually remove or stagger buffs on the opponent, and his way to negate this, is to place an ineptitude buff from his special 1. However, in order for the ineptitude buff to work efficiently, it must be applied before the buff is triggered, and you gotta stack those ineptitude buffs. So while all in all this is a neat concept, overall it's just not very practical. Okay, so let's talk about his damage, because a lot of his damage relies on his ability to incinerate the opponent. So in order for max damage, he needs to place incinerates on the opponent. If an opponent is incinerate immune, he's gonna fall really short there. So he doesn't have the best base attacks. So in order for do that, again, he needs to go against someone who he can place an incinerate on. Okay, so I mentioned earlier about his regen. Now, while the regen off the special 3 is nice and can allow you to go ham once the opponent is down after the special 3 because he's unstoppable, it's not really something that's going to benefit you in the long run in a quest, because you're still going to need to pad him up with pots from fight to fight in a quest. So it's not something that's going to sustain you in between fights, something like, you know, Wolverine, Guillotine 2099. It's not something like that regen. It's more along the lines of Sorcerer Supreme. Okay, let's talk about his synergies. So while his synergies with Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, and Tigra are nice, the one that really stands out to me is this one with Diablo, where he gains an extra stack of power charge after his special 3, which is important when you're going to build Furies, right? Because you want to build those Furies in order to get max damage. But who's going to want to bring Diablo on the team? Not really. And even though he can, with the synergy with Diablo can instantly consume concoctions after they've been brewed. Additionally, concoctions have a 50% chance to be recovered after brewing. It's still not that great of a chance, right? It's 50%. Diablo really needs a rework, and I was kind of hoping this would allow Diablo to, you know, just fully regain a potion, but only a 50% chance to really doesn't make it worthwhile to bring Diablo on your team. And another thing, and this con is more or less a personal preference of mine, but Dragon Man is clunky to play, and I feel like I am in slow motion when I'm playing him. His heavies take a little bit of time to respond. He's a little slow on the draw when it comes to his heavies. He just doesn't have that smooth play style that I like so much with other champions. So that's more or less a personal con for me, but overall, he's not terrible. So at the recording of this video, I honestly can't really find a place where I think Dragon Man will shine. Sure, he's good for, you know, Diss Track, Caustic Temper, and Plague Mind, but there are other champs out there like Hyperion who are better fitted for those nodes. So Dragon Man, he does really have some cool things going for him, but he falls short on some other things as well. He's kind of a fun champ, but he's also kind of clunky. There are some, like I said, there are some cool things, but he could be something better. So how would I rate Dragon Man? Honestly, for me, he's just another average Mystic champ. So I'm going to have to give him 6 out of 10 candies. He's not terrible, but he's not great either. He just falls in the middle of the Mystic pack for me. But anyways, guys, that's all that I got. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Dragon Man? Do you think he is just another average Mystic champ? What do you think of his not ability to nullify or stagger, but instead place an ineptitude, and his tactical programming? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.